Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lexi and today we're doing another pick a card. Today's pick a card, we are taking a look at guidance from your higher selves. So I have 3 crystals for you guys to choose from. Pile number 1 is the clear quartz. Pile number 2 is the, I always say this wrong, it's either unakite or euconite. I always get it wrong. But that's what we have for pile number 2. I know it's got a K in it, but that's pile 2. And then pile number 3, we have the lion soapstone. So see which crystal you are drawn to. The timestamps are going to be in the description box as usual. And I will see you guys at your timestamps. Hey pile 1, welcome to your reading. So we are taking a look at what guidance and messages your higher self has for you right now. So you guys chose the clear quartz. I'm going to start with tarot and then we're going to move on to your oracle cards. So let's get in. So pile number 1, please spirit guides, tap me into the collective of my pile number 1s, please. Tap me into the collective of my pile number 1s. Tap me into the collective of my pile number 1s. Before I even get in, I keep being shown a frog coming out of water and coming onto land. And I'm being made to feel, I don't know what a frog's feet feel like, but I'm being made to feel like the webs of my feet, the ground underneath is different to that it was underwater. And it's like, I know I'm meant to be coming out of the water. I know I'm meant to be going onto the ground, but it almost feels wrong because it's not what I'm used to. But there's almost this reference of like, but it's not wrong. That's the process that I'm in. This is the stage that I'm in. There's something about the ground feeling different beneath my feet, or the way that I apply myself to something changing, or the way that I'm moving right now. I'm hyper focused on something completely different than what I was, and that shift feels odd. And it's almost like my brain's telling me I'm going the wrong way, but this is the next part of the evolution. There's something to do with that I'm picking up straight away. Pile number 1, please. Pile number 1, please, spirit guides. Pile number 1. Guidance from pile number 1's higher selves. Guidance from pile number 1's higher selves. Yeah, we have transformation. I want to make sure, because I'm on a chair that's a lot lower, and I want to make sure that you can see everything. So let me... That is just not straight. I just want to make sure that it's going to be straight for you guys. There you go. We have transformation. We have the moon. Pile number 1. Guidance from pile number 1's higher selves, please. We have the 4 of acorns, which is the 4 of pentacles. One more card, please, spirit guides. One more card. Guidance from pile number 1's higher selves. And we have the Emperor. On the back of the deck, you have the 8 of swords. Okay, pile number 1, please, spirit guides. Guidance from pile number 1's higher selves. The way I'm being made to feel when I tap into your higher self, there's almost this reference of the building stage. You know how I always talk about, like, when we're building something or we're manifesting something, we'll be usually in a stage of flow, we'll be in a stage of imagination, we'll be in a stage of channeling and almost setting our energies up to align with a certain paradigm. And that's a time period where we're a lot more connected to spirit, or we're, you know, more in that kind of like daydreaming stage. We're dreaming up what we want to do, we're getting creative, we're drawing up like a paradigm we want to align with, we're drawing up that blueprint of that house that we want to build. But there then comes a point when we are called then into the physical to really bridge the gap between what is in our minds and what is in the physical world. And I feel like that's a state and I can't even speak, and an energy that you guys are currently aligning with. And I don't know why I'm being made to, I feel like I'm neglecting parts of myself. Like I don't know why I'm being made to feel that. Like if I'm not like waking up every single day and like meditating, connecting with spirit, doing all of these like deeper things, I feel like I'm going down the wrong path. Or if I'm not in a state of daydreaming, then I've kind of lost my creative spark. All the while it's there, but it's like I always say, the swing of the pendulum. We've been swinging one way for a while, we're now going the other way. There's a reference that I keep being shown the energetic process of when we incarnate into the physical. And if you've ever felt that process, like when you wake up, you literally feel like a body of water, and then it slowly condenses until you literally start to feel like you're kind of like grounded into a block of ice. I hope that makes sense. And that's what I'm seeing in your energy right now, because there's a lot of focus I feel on the physical. There's a lot of focus. It's almost like I'm putting pen to paper now. I've had the ideas, I've been inspired, I've seen all of the colors, and now I need to really root that down, because there's a reference here of you bringing something into the physical, kind of like creating that heaven then on earth, bringing those ideas into the physical. And that's what I'm seeing right now. There's almost a reference of like biding my time, and I keep being shown a lot of energy around you, right? So I'm seeing like an energetic body, and then I'm seeing like lots of energy behind you in terms of like maybe money coming in or opportunities coming in, or just I keep being shown like doors opening for you to walk through. And there's a reference of being very grounded right now, and it's like I'm making sure because I keep being shown gushes of energy. So I don't know if you've had like a lot of job opportunities coming in recently, or you will start having a lot of job opportunities coming in, or it could be like your money going up, or you just realizing you have a lot of extra money, or just money coming in from like different areas. It could also be in terms of like your everyday life. Like there could be opportunities for a home, there could be opportunities for, you know, purchasing new things that you've wanted in terms of like goals, or there could be like a lot of goals that you have set on the horizon, and you have a lot of energy towards like going after them. Because I keep seeing behind you, it's almost like splints of energy, but it's literally like fire, and I keep seeing them behind you guys, because I feel like there's a lot of energy almost like backing you. And there's this reference of like we're almost squeezing that energy in. Like I'm being shown like a bag of icing. I don't know why. I don't know if some of you guys bake, and you know you have those like pipe things to like squirt the ice in and draw. It's like all of that like big bag of icing is going into that little like nozzle, and then it's like it's like being directed like onto the cake in like a specific shape, but it's being directed that way. It's being condensed and directed that way. And that's what I'm being shown with the energy behind you, and where you're putting your time, where you're putting your money, where you're putting your focus right now. Because I keep being shown that over the next, I don't know why I'm being shown 7. So it almost feels like a 7-month period, but energy is always in a state of flux. And I'm being shown lots of energy behind you, and there's a reference to really ground and bide your time in terms of where you're putting your money, in terms of where you're putting your energy, and what you're focusing it on. Because that's what I'm seeing for you guys over the next 7 months. I see there's definitely a reference to especially with money, like saving money, investing in certain things. This is Luna, by the way. Investing in things that you know are going to advance you moving forward. Like if you know that the lifestyle you've been trying to achieve is you traveling, saving up money so that you can book those trips. Or if you know that you've been wanting to buy a house, saving that money back to make sure you can put that deposit down for the house. Or if you know that you've been wanting to, you know, start this business or be in this certain creative field, putting money into like studies and courses that are going to be able to help you, you know, benefit from that. That's what I'm seeing energetically, that there's a really strong focus. Because it's not just a case of like, oh, we're grounded and we're focusing on our goals. I feel like there's an area of life that you have just closed out. I'm seeing a cycle come to the end. And with the moon card, it wouldn't shock me if you, because this feels like it's already been happening, and it may be happening now. I'm picking up a lot of like 10 of Swords energy when I look at the moon, only because there's almost this feeling of like the subconscious and energies that were trapped in the subconscious. They're almost like coming up now, because it's like we've ended this cycle and now we're moving into this new cycle and we're aligning with it. So these things, these parts, these insecurities, that imposter syndrome, those doubts, whatever it was, even grudges I was holding to the past, they're coming out now for you to almost like make peace with them and allow them to flow out. Because what I'm being shown is, you know, when you have the ocean and then sea creatures get washed up, or shells get washed up from like the bottom of the ocean, I'm literally being shown what look like jellyfish, and they're coming up from the bottom up to the top, and they're like washing up on the beach. But the jellyfish are representing these feelings flowing out of you, all these insecurities. So if you've been feeling like, I'm hearing that meme, and it's like this, I think it's a woman, she's like, the pressure is getting worse. I'm hearing that, like I feel like something's bubbling, and and it's almost like coming from up from underneath the surface, and that's because it's coming from your subconscious. I see little I'm literally, again, I'm being shown icing kind of like being piped out. It's like parts of you that aren't resonating with you anymore, that aren't coming with you to this new phase, because you really are in a transition, with the transformation card being at the start. And I was literally being shown a frog coming out of the water. You know, the frog was a tadpole. It was like a little fishy looking thing, you know, and it grows its legs and it comes out. It kind of reaches that level of evolution and it comes out onto the, you know, onto the earth, basically into this realm, because I always like to refer to water as a realm. So on top of that, these insecurities that were down at the bottom of the ocean, down in your subconscious, you know, connected to your shadow, they're coming up, they're being purged out, they're being cleared. And that's what I'm seeing. It's like they're not coming with you to this new phase. So I see insecurities. I'm also being shown some of you guys, and this is for a very specific few because it's coming through, some of you guys may start thinking about somebody from your past, or somebody from the past may, I don't see them coming in, it's an energy thing, so it's more so something coming up to be cleared. This isn't someone that you've been caught up with for some time. This is somebody that, like, I feel like you would have just buried it. Like, this isn't someone you think about a lot, but this is someone that you would have had love for at one point, but it's almost like that's so long ago, I don't think about it. I see something coming up in terms of the heart space for you guys, for some of you, in terms of just clearing that away. And it's almost like I'm making sense of feelings and kind of putting them to bed, because there's this reference of like acknowledging, you know, I really did have love for you, I had a lot of love for you, but we're just not meant to be. And I don't see you wanting to be with this person. It's more so just acknowledging feelings. But what could happen is sometimes when we have to acknowledge feelings that we have and just acknowledge that they were there, if we've repressed them for whatever reason, sometimes we can get a little bit nostalgic and think back to the past and feel certain feelings, but they're just making their way through. And I'm being shown something like that with somebody from your past. I don't know why I'm hearing two songs. I'm hearing I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston, and I'm hearing Nobody Gets Me by SZA. So whichever one of those two resonate. I just see it's someone that, like, you know, it would never have worked with, but I just see it coming up. It's just kind of flowing out. And I feel like you would have repressed it due to, tap me into the energy, it's more so I feel like you would have had no choice to repress it. So this could have been a connection where you were a lot younger and you couldn't deal with certain feelings, or it was like, this person's no longer in my life, so I'm going to kind of tell myself I don't care, or I'm going to push myself to move on. And I just feel like now that I'm being told that you guys are older and that you guys are more aware of emotions that flow out, I feel like you'll be able to make peace with something that's coming up and just let it flow out. So that's what I'm being shown as well. But it's because there's a new cycle happening. It goes way beyond I'm just building in the physical. It's more so, now that you're on this paradigm, it's like we're building the castle now for me to live in this new place. You know what I mean? You know, when you start like a game and you have to build a house from scratch, I always think of like Animal Crossing, and then you have to like pay to get the house bigger. You have like a new house and everything's empty and you have to like work to build it up. That's kind of the energy that you guys are in. I feel like over the next 2 years, I don't know why I keep being shown like that's. Sorry guys, I just had an alarm go off and it scared the hell out of me, I'm not gonna lie. But as I was saying, I was being shown like a construction of a house, like I was being shown like a building site being built, and I'm being shown that over the next 2 years. I'm being told some of you guys may be going through a Saturn return, and there's a lot of Saturn influence, so it doesn't have to be a Saturn return. You could have Saturn on your moon or sun over the next 2 years, but I'm also being shown numerology wise, some of you guys may be going through a personal year number 8, if not this year, then next year or the year after, because I always say like personal year number 8, 9 and 1, they're like a transitional period. So some of you guys may be going through that transitional period or prepping for that transitional period over the next couple of years. That's what I'm being shown, because it's usually a 3-year period where it's kind of like a big transformation. We come to the end of the cycle numerology wise, and then we start the new. So yeah, you could be going through your personal year 8, 9 or 1. That's what I'm being shown. But even if you're not, I'm being shown it energetically, because I just see such a big shift, and then you guys kind of build in the paradigm you're on now. Or it could be you've gone through an ego death and you're building your ego back up right now. It could be that as well. Both very transformative, and I see a lot of growth. And like I always say, I feel like you guys are being repotted. Whenever we end a cycle, we're kind of like that plant that's outgrown its pot, and then we have to be repotted elsewhere. And that's what I, really see with you guys and the energy that you're stepping into. And with the Empress card, I see a lot of growth. I see a lot of maturity over the next year to 2 years. That's what I see. I see a lot of maturity, which is why I'm thinking about Saturn as well. Like I see you guys thinking of things that before they weren't even on your brain, like physical things, like things in the everyday and building up in the everyday. It's almost like we're bringing that golden energy, that creative energy, that imaginative energy, and we're, really rooting it into the physical. There's such a focus on that. Pile number, and as well with the 8 of Feathers at the back of the deck, I just feel like, as well as this shift, I feel like you guys are untangling yourself from restraints that have held you back, like not feeling good enough, imposter syndrome, without even knowing it, subconsciously maybe you're holding on to, parts of your past. I feel like they're going to come up, and I feel like what's coming up right now, it's almost like feelings that I feel like they've been so buried, you had no idea they were there. Like this is like not even just like we're choosing to do shadow work because we know we have this wound. These are almost feelings that like they were either just too complicated or they were buried over, more bigger wounds, heavier wounds, and you weren't able to really understand them. But now that those bigger wounds have cleared, because I see them, they're cleared, now we're dealing with these little things that were just a little uncomfortable, and you wouldn't really think that you had an emotion there. That's what I see coming up for you. It might shock you who comes up or who you're thinking of if you start thinking of people from your past. Some of you guys it's just imposter syndrome, but some of you guys there's connections to others from the past. Pile number 1. Pile number 1. Guidance from pile number 1's higher self, please. We have the wolf spirit. Turn knowledge into wisdom. Let's move these up so you can see everything. There we go. Now you can see it. Pile number 1. Ooh. We have the dog spirit. Be loyal to what you love. One more card, please, spirit guides. And we have the koala spirit. Spirit has a plan. I'm hearing Michael Scott from The Office, and he's like, oh, how the turntables turn. I'm hearing him say that. That scene just came in. We have the chameleon spirit act as if. I am actually being shown doubts that are probably going to arise in terms of how am I going to bring this in? How am I going to build this? How is this going to happen? But what you're not seeing is there's a driving force energetically. I don't think you realize as well, because what I'm being shown is energetically you've already built the structures of, let's just call it the house that you're building, right? You've already built the energetic structures of this house. Like that energy is already outlined in there. Even if it's not physically tangible, like you can't see it, energetically you've already put the work for it to be in there. All we're doing now is bringing the physical to align with that. So we're aligning our physical body and what we see in the physical to it. Energetically it's already there. We've already done it. In terms of maybe if you're aligning with a certain career spot, you've already been clearing out. So any energies that didn't connect you to this career path, you've already been aligning with the best version of yourself on that career path. You've already been setting the intention that there are rooms that you are going to head to that are going to be your workspaces, your creative spaces. You've already set these intentions. This is already there. And I see what's really interesting is I'm being shown like intuitive nudges of like little things coming to you and like little ideas coming to you in terms of, I feel like you're having psychic kind of glimpses of where you're to head over the next couple of years. I see you seeing them. It's almost like I'm seeing goalposts, like I'm seeing like little golden seeds. So I know that they're energetically there because I've already set them. It's almost like my higher self's already set them, my heart space, I'm aligned with that, it's already set them. And then there's just the physical doubts then coming up. But what I'm being told is you've already energetically set the outlining of it. Now we're just kind of like physically, we've already put the wood up, now we're getting the bricks and cement. You know what I mean? The wood is the energy behind it. You've already done that. So there's a reference of trust what you can't see as well, and trust where you're going, and trust everything's going to fall into place, because with spirit has a plan as well, is act as if. I feel like that's what's happening. I feel like there are seeds being sown that you've already done energetically, and it's almost like trust what you've already sown. You know what I mean? Trust the seeds you've already sown. Trust what you've already aligned with. Trust what you've already cleared. Because there's the fact that the shift is even happening is proof of the work that you've already been doing in spirit. So trust that, you know, it's going to keep going until it's at 100%, because it is, you know. Be loyal to what you love. The card I'm getting there, I don't know why, I feel like I want to activate my love for something. Like, I don't know if there's something you've been doing for a while and it's gotten a bit stale, but it's almost like I want to shake it up. Like, I want to try it a different way. I want to try something different. This could be a routine that you're doing. This could be your form of manifesting. This could be a form of connecting with spirit. Because again, I was seeing something like, I was connecting with spirit a lot, and now I don't feel like I'm connecting with spirit as much. But maybe that old practice was for your old timeline, and now there's a new way to connect with spirit, you know. Now there's a new way to be you know, channeling and getting messages through, or, you know, aligning. I used to at times like root myself into the garden, into the soil, like that's how I would ground. But then it got to a point where I was like, no, I need to move my physical body. That's how I'm grounded. I need to work out. There's nothing better than taking care of your physical body. There's nothing more spiritual than moving the body and the energies around it, you know. So there's a different way in which I had to approach that, and I swing back and forth whenever my body tells me to, whenever my energy tells me to. There's something there that I feel like I want to shake up. So if you know something's stagnant in your life, there's something there that you're being called to shake up, or kind of like, I'm being shown Play-Doh, and it's like gotten hard in like a specific shape, and I'm trying to like play with it again so it goes all slimy again and I can do a different shape. That's what I'm being shown there. And turn knowledge into wisdom. I feel like you guys have psychic foresight, because I can see that. I feel like I'm being shown my third eye, and I'm being shown timelines in front of me. You guys get glimpses and visions of where you're going to be in the future, and I feel like sometimes you might even look at it like, I could maybe do this, but what you're not realizing is you're on that path. That's why you're seeing it. It's not a case of I could maybe, you're on that path. So there's a reference of trusting that that path is for you, and then making that physical effort to get there too. And I feel like that's where you're at. But I see a lot of shifts coming in the physical after so many shifts. I feel like you may feel like energetically I've gone through loads of shifts, but physically I've been the same. I feel like you're now about to see the shifts that you've done in spirit, because they're coming into the physical, but you're the vessel. So there's movement that needs to be had with you too. So there's some sort of shake up or shift, or putting my head down into something, in terms of bringing something in. And I'm hearing the Rumi quote, as you walk on the way appears. It's one of my favorite quotes, because I'm being shown 1 foot forward, and then everything just starts to align. So that's what I'm being shown for you guys. So yeah, pile number 1, that is what I have for you guys. I really hope that you enjoyed your reading. Hit the thumbs up and comment down below if you did. I'm sending you guys all of my love. I hope you have a beautiful morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching. And hopefully I'll see you guys in my next video. So thank you guys for watching. Hey pal 2, welcome to your reading. So we are taking a look at what guidance your higher self has for you right now. So you guys chose, I'm gonna say Euchanite. I apologize if it's Unicite. I'm gonna say Euchanite though. You guys chose the Euchanite. I'm gonna start with tarot, and then we're gonna get into your oracle cards. So let's go. So pile number 2, please, spirit guides. Pile number 2, guidance from pile number 2's higher selves. Guidance from pile number 2's, 2 seconds. We've got cards that have fallen. I just knocked the camera, apologies. Pile number 2, please. Pile number 2, please, spirit guides. Pile number 2, guidance from pile number 2's. We have the 9. The 9 of Cups. Guidance from pile number 2's higher selves. We have the 5 of Wands. We have the 8 of Cups. And we have the King of Wands. Interesting. The back of the deck, you have the Ace of Wands. I'm going to pop that there. Okay. Nine of Shells, Five of Wands, Eight of Shells, King of Wands. Right, okay. I'm being straight away taken to the heart space. I'm being straight away taken to the heart chakra, and I'm being shown, it's interesting, okay? So I'm being shown like the yin yang symbol, right? Imagine you've got the moon, and then you've got like half of the side in the dark, half of the side in the light. The dark side representing the subconscious, the the deeper, the wounds, all of that, the parts that we suppress, and then you have the conscious, right, which is the light side. And I'm being shown your heart space, and I'm being shown your heart space in the past. This is past energy. I'm being shown the dark side of the moon being on the surface, meaning that I'm being shown connections in the way you would have connected with people in terms of your heart space in the past. There's a lot of mirroring and connecting to my wounds. I keep wanting to reference the term wounded healer. So I keep wanting to reference connections where I felt that I needed to self-sacrifice. I felt like I needed to lift them up. I almost feel like it was my responsibility to make sure that they're okay. I'm seeing the good in them, even though they're not really doing any physical effort towards that, but I'm seeing the good in them. And it's almost like I'm in the dark, but I'm trying to find like that kind of light, if that makes sense, to the point that I'm almost like shining it out of myself to bring light to other people. And I see a lot of connections where, and I'm not just being taken to like relationships, I'm being taken to family connections as well, and friendships, and I'm being shown people that you truly did love, like have love for, but there was just a lot of, I need to fix, I need to heal, I need to, lift you up. I feel like you've already passed that, so I don't need to go too deep into that. But what I'm being shown now is that moon turning the other way, where it's now like yin yang, and now I'm in the, kind of like that conscious energy. Like I've almost looked a lot of those wounds or a lot of those demons in the eye. And especially with the Eight of Cups here, what I've chosen to do is step away from what wasn't serving me and what wasn't pouring back into me in the same way that I was pouring into it. However, that energy and the way that I used to step towards connections and step towards relationships, it's almost like a frequency that I'm detaching from, but there's a feeling of knowing it all too well. And now that I'm in this kind of conscious energy, and I'm in this kind of like this flipped energy, I am now preparing or aligning with people that really want to pour into me, with people that really want to give into me. Now, this could be family members that I wanted to, really pour into and give to. This could be friends. This could be relationships. And every time I'm thinking of kind of like diving off the deep end or tapping into that, or even just the thought of it, maybe they haven't come in yet, but it's just the thought of it, there's almost this feeling in my heart space where I almost want to purge and cry. And then I'm kind of resisting it. With the Five of Acorns here, the Five of Wands, it's almost like I'm resisting it. Like this Nine of Shells, this Nine of Cups is coming in, but I'm almost kind of like, because it's different and it's not something I'm used to, there's so many doubts cropping up in my mind. I'm trying to fight it off or push back from it, and you're being called not to resist that, and you're being called to feel into it. Because when we are used to connections with people that were painful, or we were used to connections where we poured into people but we didn't really get anything back, there's a wound there, there's a cut there. And when we start to do that healing, we transmute, we start to, work and clear. But there's only so much clearing and healing we can do by ourselves and on our own and in hermit mode. We learn about love, yes, from ourselves and self-love, but we also learn about love from each other. And we learn about love and connecting to people emotionally. We learn it from other people. And when we start to accept that love and allow ourselves to be vulnerable and flow into that, it can sometimes sting a little bit, because what happens when we have an open wound and then we put a medicine on it? It stings. It really stings. But it stings because the medicine's working. It's going into that deep cut. There's a wound there. It's not the medicine that's stinging. It's the wound that's stinging. The medicine is trying to help. So the medicine goes on to that sting and soothes it and soothes it and soothes it until it helps it kind of like clear. And I feel like you guys, as far as the sting, you've already been doing that yourself. I feel like you've been clearing in terms of I was not getting what I deserved here, I deserve better than this, or I am putting boundaries in, I don't want to self-sacrifice for love anymore. That's not what that is for me. You've already been putting the medicine on, the medicine on, the medicine on. There's one last dose of medicine coming, that's going to come in, and that is when you open to others, whether it's a relationship, a family, connection, or a friendship connection, and that energy comes in, and they love you and hold and support you the way you do them. That's going to tinge a little bit if you've, 1, never experienced it, 2, are just not used to it, or 3, since you've been doing this healing, you might not have been around people. That's going to sting. Please don't run from those feelings that crop up. Allow them to process, allow them to flow out. Because a lot of the times when we grow up and we're in, families where we learn to self-sacrifice, or we learn to overgive, we don't know really what a healthy love is like, and really receiving love. If we've had to give it to everyone around us but we didn't receive it ourselves, we don't know anything else. So that sting and that pain in childhood of, why am I not receiving this? We repress it so deep down, and we kind of tell ourselves, well, I'm not worthy, so how can I be worthy? I'll give, I'll pour into people, I love, or whatever. And we get so used to people not touching that part of ourselves. Then it's so deep down, we get so used to people just never touching it, and we kind of hide it away, and we let go of our needs, we let go of what we want, because it's about everybody else, because we've repressed it. And it's not anybody's fault, it's not your fault. That's what I'm trying to say, because when we're young, we don't know any different. We're doing what we can to cope. Children, at a young age, and teens at their young age, they're not designed to deal with such emotional distress or those type of feelings, so they repress it. And, when we get to that point then later in life where we start to work on our boundaries, we start to get in touch with our own needs, we're trickling our way back down to that part of us that is repressed, and we start to nurture that part, and we start to tell that version of ourselves, you're lovable. But that version of ourselves might not have received that love before, so when they first get it, those doubts, those insecurities, all of that may crop up. But feeling it when they come up, that's a sign that they're coming out of the subconscious and into the conscious for it to be moved. That's your inner child, your inner teenager, just that inner version of yourself, your shadow self. When you feel those feelings and that sting, that's that version of you handing you those feelings that's been holding on to and that has been bogged down. They're handing it to you to go, okay, well, if I'm being loved, then these feelings that I'm feeling of, feeling unworthy, or those insecurities, or I'm unlovable, well, if you're telling me that I'm loved, then these don't need to be here anymore. You know what I mean? Because I am loved. So your inner child, whatever version of you align it with, they pass that to you. Here you go, we can purge it out now. Let's acknowledge it and purge it out. And a lot of people, when they get into a connection after a period of time, or they open up to friends, or open up to certain family members after a period of time of doing that clearing, that first initial sting, it will be there. It can be a little bit heavy, but it's a process that's being moved within you. It's energy that's being moved within you. And with the Ace of Pentacles, it's making room for new to grow, There was a lady on TikTok, and she was referencing people like aligning with another paradigm, let's say, and she put ice in a cup, and she said, when you start to make moves and align with something else, and she poured water into the cup, and as she poured water into the cup, the ice that was at the bottom, it made its way all the way up, and then she kind of like overfilled the cup, so the ice just fell out. And she said that's what happens when we shift and we jump into another paradigm or align with something different. Those wounds, they have to come out, and they come up to the surface. And I love that, because it was like such a good visual representation of that subconscious work and clearing. And that's what I see happening with you, because I see you prepping and opening to energies that support what you've been teaching your inner child, what you've been teaching your shadow, what you've been teaching yourself. I see energies coming in to really support that. And it's almost like I'm open to being vulnerable, but also I feel like I'm open to being held. I don't know why that feels really important for me to say, like being held within someone else, to lean on somebody else, to trust on somebody else. I see you aligning with that, and feeling open to leaning on somebody and falling into somebody. So there's something there. But I see that happening with you guys right now in terms of your heart space. It's like I'm being shown that flip from the shadow side of the moon to the light side of the moon. And I see a lot of as well, I kind of want to say the word light light-heartedness. I don't know, sometimes, I mean, I guess if you've been, you know, really dealing with these, you know, inner wounds that you've been clearing, we have to get serious and we have to really deal with the heavier emotions. And what's interesting is, as you begin to tap into these deeper emotions and of love and, you know, all of that, and vulnerability and falling into people, I see a lot of laughter on the surface of this side of the moon, where I see a lot of lightheartedness, like, not in the sense that you're dismissing any feelings that are coming up. It's more so like I feel very lighthearted, like kind of like this feeling like of how do I put this into words? It's like, I'm just going to take this leap. I'm just going to take this jump. I'm just going to be open to this. I'm just going to be like things feel a lot lighter. Things feel almost like a lot funny. It's like life's too short. Like life feels really, really light and joyous. So I see an energy like that kind of emerging within you, where I see that kind of lightheartedness at first, and maybe you tapping into connections with certain family members, friends, relationships in a lighthearted way, and then it slowly starts to get deeper and deeper. I'm seeing that, but I just see a lot of lightheartedness at the beginning before it gets deep, and not deep in the sense of be scared, we're getting deep. Just deep in the sense of whatever you have, the bottom of the trenches that you've gone on this dark side of the moon, you're going to reach the high heights on the other side of the moon. It's going to be balanced, because I see love being kind of like a goal, and it doesn't have to be romantic love, you know. It's just like learning to love and learning to have a healthy love. I feel like that's a process that you're going into now, which is really, really beautiful, and I do see that. And even me saying this, doubts could be cropping up, like, oh yeah, well, you know, that's not been the case for how many years, so I don't know, we'll see. And I get that. I completely get that if you're feeling a little frustrated and you're feeling that way, and if those doubts come up, that's fine. Allow them to process out. Vent if you need to. I don't judge in the comment section. Feel free to vent. But I see that lighter energy then coming in, and I see a lot of love. I see a lot of beautiful energies then, but it's just that first initial last bit of medicine, you know, that last kicker onto the wound. That's what I see, which is probably what is going to cause you to go through somewhat of a rebirth in a beautiful way, in terms of, I don't know if it's someone wanting to connect with you. I don't know if it's like friends, a new friend, or a friend from the past, or like somebody that's wanted to be close to you but you haven't had the capacity, or a relationship, or you've been dating someone. Again, could be family. That's what I'm being shown, but I see a shift in the energy, and it's almost like learning to let go of the old, because there's also a bittersweet, because we also want to acknowledge the connections we had in the past and that bittersweet feeling, you know. You know how we let go of family members and people that weren't choosing to do the healing and weren't choosing to work on themselves and were still treating us poorly, so it's like we have to step away. It's almost like acknowledging that we had love there, but also acknowledging I deserve more, and I can't just stay in the shadow side of the moon, the dark side of the moon, just in hopes that you may reciprocate, you know, energy that I've given you. I have to keep moving with love for you, because there's also like a bittersweet grief that I see coming up as well, and please honor that and allow that to flow, but don't get stuck in, you know, that shadow side. Allow yourself to embrace the new, because you really, really deserve it. So I'm gonna pull your oracle cards now. Luna has come to join us. She's on the couch next to me. Hi, Looney. I thought she'd meow then, but she's too busy looking at the birds. Pile number 2, please, spirit guides. Guidance from pile number 2's higher selves. Ooh. Your 3 cards have just fallen. Bear with me. I'm trying not to knock the camera. I've got a new chair and it's quite low down, and it keeps knocking the frame. What have we got? We've got trust in the magic. We've got hawk spirit. Let spirit be our guide. Lots of green. See, heart chakra energy. And then we have the turtle spirit. Slow and steady wins the race. Okay. And I'll go like that. I don't like the gaps in between. Doesn't look as attractive. The back of the deck, we have the owl spirit. You see clearly now. I love that card for you guys. And what's interesting is the 4 and the 3 adding up to 7. I'm thinking of, you know, connection with others. I'm thinking of like the 7th house. Okay, interesting. The owl spirit, you see clearly now. The thing is, you've gone into, I feel like you've seen the worst of people at times. I feel like you've seen the worst of connections. I feel like you've really learned to adapt to and understand people's shadows, their wounds, why they act the way that they do. Also because you've mirrored that at times. Maybe you've been avoidant at times. You've been afraid of abandonment at times. You've been afraid of, certain feelings at times. So it's like you've understood other people's darkness because you've seen it in yourself. I feel like you've done very well in seeing, I see people coming towards you and it's almost like mirroring a wound. And it's like, I get it. Like, I understand this wound. I understand what you're mirroring in me. It's like you really get people because you see people very deeply. And I feel like you've spent a lot of time in those darker waters and understood wounds, your own wounds, why people do things, to the point that I see that you've untangled. Do you know what it feels like? It feels like you've untangled your ego from, that person doesn't want to be with me, it must be something that I've done. It's like you've untangled that. It's like you had this wound, or you were going through this, or your inability to see my light was nothing to do with me. Like, I want you to give yourself props for how much you've cleared out, because what I'm showing is that dark side of the moon. I'm being shown, I don't know if you've seen a Harry Potter, the Chamber of Secrets, but there's a basilisk and they come to like this point of the tunnel where they think it's the basilisk, but it's like the dead skin. It's like the dead skin of it, and it's huge, and it's just the skin that it's shed because it's technically a snake, isn't it? So it's like this skin and it's huge. And that's what I'm being shown on the dark side of the moon type of thing. It's like your old dead skin. It's like it's cleared. It's like anything that your ego is attaching to, anything that your your deeper wounds were attaching to. It's like I'm clearing these wounds so that you're not attaching to them anymore. You know what I mean? And I can step into this other side. Like but this is your first time stepping into that light side. So that first initial impact, it's going to sting a little bit, but you've already done like the work. Like you've already done that. You've already cleared, you've already worked through it. And you'll know by now, you are worthy of less love even then. And you know this, because that's the thing. When we do self-love, it's not a case of, oh, I need to love myself, like cutesy, like love my, it's like, no, self-love is like clearing and working through our wounds, so that not for other people to deem us as worthy, so we know what we're worth. Not for other people. It's never for other people. Sometimes that journey can start from other people. It can be triggered by other people, but it's for us at the end of the day. And it's so that we know our worth, not others, because we were always worthy. But if we don't see it, then we have to work on why we don't see it. But we were always worthy even when we didn't see it. And that's what you've been working on. Now we're trusting the magic and let spirit be your guide. Those two cards coming through. I feel like spirit's really been walking with you in terms of clearing this space for you and clearing these wounds. I feel like spirit is, because I'm being shown somebody sleeping and then spirit helping them, like helping work on that in their sleep. So I don't know if you've been having dreams of people from your past, or just naturally when you've been clearing, you've been having, dreams in regards to your heart space. Or some of you guys have woken up feeling really weepy, or woken up feeling, when there's been activity in the heart space and in the heart chakra, and you wake up and it feels heavy, or there's been a clearing. That's what I see. You guys have been, that's what's been happening for a lot of you guys. And I see, I'm not gonna lie, I see over the next 3 months little surges of that, but I almost feel like energy's been restored to me as well. Like I'm receiving, it's almost like energy I would have pushed out. I'm receiving and accepting love that may have been there, but I didn't see it. And maybe I'm also tapping into feelings of love that maybe I've had for others, but I wasn't able to acknowledge. So maybe at times you might have been avoidant, or maybe at times people were trying to love you, but you didn't see it. It's almost like I'm acknowledging that, and I'm accepting that, and I'm kind of receiving that love that was being given to me as well. So there's a reference of that. Only take what resonates with this, because there's different things coming through. And then it's also like I'm acknowledging the love that I'm sending to myself. And that's where I see then energy following in terms of other connections with others, and I'm accepting that too. So it's a really deep process that I see you guys working through. But if you haven't got people trying to come close to you right now, and it's not just relationship and love, it's friendship, it's family. I see that coming in. I don't know why as well I'm seeing a pet coming through. If you've been thinking of getting a pet, I'm seeing that coming through. Like I'm seeing energy flowing through there in terms of a pet coming in for you. If you've been looking of getting like a cat or a dog, but some of you guys it's a horse, because I'm being shown a horse, but I'm being shown energy there. I keep being shown like a cat's face in my mind's eye, just there. You could also have a pet in spirit that's helping as well, because I don't know why there's a strong focus on pets and animals around you, so there could be pets in spirit working with you, guiding as well. If you've had a pet that's passed on, that's what I'm being shown as well. I feel really emotional as I say that too. I feel like I want to cry, but in a good way. It's like there's love there. So for a lot of you guys, there's a pet in spirit, and that you may have been thinking about recently too, because pets teach us unconditional love, you know? So it's almost like tapping into that as well. I want to cry. I actually have tears in my eyes. That's how I feel. Lots of love there. Lots of love there. And then the final card, Total Spirit, slow and steady wins the race. This process isn't to be rushed. Please take your time. Don't force yourself into connections. Don't force yourself to jump in. Don't force yourself to be feeling all of these feelings. Slow and steady wins the race. When we get to the deep end of the pool, it's not because, you know, we jumped in and we hit the bottom straight away. Even if we do cannonball into the deep end, there's a slow descent to the bottom, you know? We don't just snap our fingers and we're at the bottom. We go down, you know? And when we go into the ocean, we slowly make our way down. So take your time with yourself. Be patient with yourself. Everything's flowing the way it's meant to be. That's what I'm being told. Just do not resist. Don't fight off feelings that are coming through. Allow them to process. Even if, because it came through for pile number 1, and it could be that you were drawn to both, even if you're thinking of connections and it's like, I never want to be with this person, but then I'm feeling these love feelings. Sometimes there's a little bit of a confusion there. Sometimes we're just acknowledging feelings we had in the past that we repressed or we weren't able to deal with at the time. And we repress it, and then 5 years later, we're like, oh, wow, I feel in love for this person, but I don't want them back. I'm confused. It's not that we want them back. That feeling's coming up because it's not like I'm now acknowledging I felt this way. And it needs to flow through, you know? And that's what I'm seeing. So it's interesting what I'm seeing in the collective right now. Lots of shifts, lots of changes. But no, I see really beautiful energies. And I see the flip side of where you would have woken up and feeling grief in your heart space. I see the flip side, waking up and feeling joy in the heart space. There's like literally like a mirrored perspective here. So yeah, I see a lot of beautiful energy around that. So pile number 2, I hope you got what you needed from the reading. Hit the thumbs up and comment down below if you did. I'm sending you guys all of my love. I hope you have a beautiful morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys in my next video. So thank you guys for watching. Hey Pile 3, welcome to your reading. So we are taking a look at what guidance and messages your higher selves have for you right now. So you guys chose the Lion Soapstone. I'm going to start with tarot and then we'll move into your oracle cards. So let's get in. So pile number 3, please. Pile number 3, please, spirit guides, the Lion pile. Pile number 3, please, spirit guides, guidance from pile number 3's higher selves. Guidance from pile number 3's higher selves. We have the 8 of Pentacles. Pile number 3's higher selves, please. We have Temperance. We have the Awakening. One more card, please, spirit guides. Guidance. Guidance from my pile number 3's higher selves. Page of Pentacles. On the back of the deck, you have the King of Cups. What's interesting about this pile, especially with you guys choosing the Lion soapstone, when I tap in, I keep being shown a lion's roar, but it's almost like it's starting to roar, and you know, sometimes it goes like into a growl, and it's kind of croaky, and then once it's done that little growl, it like roars. I'm being shown that in terms of, it's almost like my voice at times has been tainted, or me truly believing in myself or my abilities or who I am. It's almost like it's been tainted at times, like there's almost chip-ins in it. And that's a work that I see that you've been doing, but there's a reference right now where I almost feel like, I feel frustrated in the sense that I feel like I'm not being seen, like people aren't seeing me clearly. And what I'm being shown then, it's almost like little, kind of like a peacock, I guess. It's almost like those parts of myself. It's like, okay, imagine a peacock and then it's around all of the birds, flamingos, penguins, chickens, all of the types of birds, and they're all showing off their skills. And then the peacock, before it like fans its tail out, because I always thought it was the wings, but it's not, it's the tail. Before the peacock fans the tail out, it's there, and they're like, well, what is that bird doing? What is that bird? And it's almost like the other birds are then projecting onto that bird. Oh yeah, well, they're just this type of bird, and they're this color, and they're this color, and you know that you have this colorful tail, so you're going, that's a lie, because my tail is blue and pink, and this is my purpose, and this is what I do, and I have all of these colors to me and all of these sides to me. Why are people not seeing it? But people aren't seeing the tail fan out. And then what I'm seeing is so much frustration in terms of like, they're telling me I'm this, I'm that, am I this, am I that, forgetting that you have this beautiful tail. It's like, I'm forgetting it. I'm forgetting all of these things that I have. This person's telling me that I'm not somebody capable of X, Y, and Z, but I've been through worse than that. But they don't know that. They haven't seen that version of you. Or this person's telling me that I'm quite, I'm just quite lighthearted and not very deep. But at night, like, I'm so deep and I tap into the deepest parts of myself. But they haven't seen that. So there's almost this reference of like, I'm getting to the point where it's almost like this raw. I'm being shown like Moana to Fiti when the heart was stolen from her, and she goes into that energy of like rage, rightfully so. And it's almost like I'm screaming out, but it's kind of like this growl, like this lion growl. And then all of a sudden that big lion kind of roars, and then everyone's like, oh, king of the jungle. There it is. That's what I'm being seen. There's something, I keep seeing an energy that I see you. It's almost like it's boiling, and then I see it kind of like blowing, and not in a negative way, not in a way where it's like I see you, effing at people and like swearing and all that. No, it's not like that. It's more so I just see you. It's almost like I'm jumping out of my shell. That's literally the energy that I'm being shown with these cards here. It's almost like I'm jumping out of my shell. I feel like for time, I feel like you guys have been working on boosting your confidence, building your confidence, removing insecurities, projections other people have placed on you. And I feel like you've been working on yourself. And I feel like, I don't know if it's recently, but I keep feeling like projections are being placed on me. Like little things are being said to me. Things are being, like poked at. And it's like, oh, you want the feathers to come out, you want that raw, okay, well, let's do that. And it's like I'm almost like just embodying my true nature very unapologetically, and I see it's like a switch. I see something happening where it's almost like you've got a taster or something, and then you keep doing it. So somebody could like push you back in regards to something, and I see you really standing up for yourself, or you being like, no, I like this and this, these are my needs, this is what I want, this is a version of me that you haven't seen, but I'm going to get it out there. And maybe these are parts of yourself that you repressed because maybe you thought that people wouldn't like it, or you didn't want to rock the boat, or maybe you didn't want, you wanted to avoid conflict, or you wanted to avoid people, poking at those versions of you. But I feel like for time, because that's what has been shown, the bubble and energy, I feel like you've been pouring and pouring and pouring into yourself. I feel like you've been getting in touch with your needs. I feel like you've been listening to your own state of flow, and I feel like you've been tapping into it. And then I see this massive growth. I see these feathers being fanned, and I see you guys jumping out. That's what I'm being shown. So that's almost like a process that you're going on right now, in terms of that, because the Eight of Pentacles, beginning the spread. I feel like you guys have already been working on building yourself up and getting yourself to where you're at. And I feel like at times you may even think, I lacked confidence, or I had all of these insecurities. And there could have been insecurities there, and maybe in some areas you lack confidence, but I feel like you I feel like you'd go out there and you'd hide pieces of yourself back for obvious reasons, like, I don't want people to poke at this isn't something, I'm gatekeeping this, or this isn't something that I need to bring out here. And then it's like people have maybe like projected or thought that's all there is, because people are very show and tell. So when they don't see something, they just, instead of just assuming they could have it, they assume, well, they don't have it. And I see you guys just walking around with your tail out for fun. Like I see somebody walking down the street with like a peacock tail, but I'm being shown that because it's like, I see you embodying something. It's almost like an energy, and I see you shining beautiful parts of yourself out, and I see a lot of people really effing with that and aligning with it, and then I see you feeling really understood instead of feeling misunderstood. I feel like at times you felt really misunderstood because people haven't seen these colors. Is there anything? I feel like you're already doing what you need to get here, but I don't know if you've had somebody in your life recently, like a family member or a partner or a friend, that's kind of like been poking at you or pushing at you, or has been trying to, it's almost like somebody is telling you who you are. Like, I feel like I'm being told who I am, or I'm being told who I will and won't be, or I'm kind of being dismissed, and it's almost like I'm becoming loud. Like, I'm hearing that song by Selena Gomez, A Sweeter Place, and she sings, I can't believe I can be loud. Like, I'm hearing that, like, I see you being loud, but it's coming from your voice. It's like, that inner world with you is so colourful and beautiful. I feel like you've been through a lot. I feel like you have a lot of interesting things to say. And it's almost like the voice, because I always say the voice then is the bridge, you know, our voice can bridge what we need to get out there. And I see you kind of like voicing your needs, voicing your frustrations, voicing those parts of yourself, so people are starting to see those colours, and I see that being activated within you. So some of you guys may have been poked recently, but I see you guys really rawing. It's like a little croak and then it's like a raw, because I see you saying no to something, or you saying actually that's not true, and it literally gives you like a taster of something. You're like, yeah, like I feel really hyped up and pumped up. That's how I feel. But I keep thinking of like, what do they need to do to get here? I don't think you need to do anything. I feel like I'm just almost like narrating the energy of where you're stepping into. I'm also explaining why maybe you've been feeling a little bit more misunderstood lately, or why you've been feeling like a little bit detached from people around you, or like people aren't really seeing me, or people aren't, it's almost like people aren't thinking of me, or people aren't thinking of my needs and feelings. And there's this feeling of like, well, I'm going to say my needs and feelings really loud, like I'm going to get it out there, and I'm going to say no. It's almost like I'm getting it out, so people know what's up. Like, that's how it feels, and it's flowing out. That's a process you're on, that I kind of feel like I want to narrate. And every time I'm thinking, but do they need guidance? It's like, no, they're doing everything they need to. That's just what they're going through right now. And please be patient with yourself if at times somebody pokes you and you don't have the confidence in that moment to stand up for yourself, because that is a process in itself. You know, when we start to learn to say no after we've said yes for so long, when we start to make noise after we've been quiet for so long, when we start to take up space after we've stepped to the back for some time, like, that is a process. It's okay if it takes a minute, but it's a process that you're going through. And I see you being really loud, and I see people really seeing you. And then I see, it's almost like, it's quite interesting, you know, when like ants are drawn to sugar, and then you get like all those ants out of nowhere, they're just all there like going over the sugar. It's weird, I'm being shown you, and then energy coming towards you. So it's like that peacock is like fanned out, and you're feeling really misunderstood. Like, I'm not like any of these birds around me, and they all have their groups, and I'm just sharing, like, I don't see like any of the birds like me. So then you fan your tail out, and then over in the horizon, the peacock crew were like, oh my god, one of us, and then they run over, because it's like, oh, the fan, the tail, I didn't realize you're a peacock, come here, group, squad, you've got your people. There's something like that coming through as well, where people are going to start seeing you like, that's part of me, that's a bit of me, that's part of me, that's my brother, that's my sister, that's my peacock crew. You know, and that's what I see happening for you. But it's a process you're walking through right now, and I feel like you're finding your voice. I feel like you've always had a very open throat chakra, but it's almost like I'm holding back pieces of myself, but now I'm going to start letting them out. Yeah, I feel like you've learned I feel like maybe in the past, maybe the deepest like aspects of you are like heavy things you let out, and then your needs and, you know, who you are as a person, and, you know, your anger, frustration, all of that, it's almost like that was hidden. Whereas there's almost like a reverse, where it's like, I'm gatekeeping certain things that I've gone through, or certain feelings or whatever. It's like I'm gatekeeping that from the everyday person, and I'm going to have my needs and my boundaries right up like a boulder. Like, that's what I'm going to have. So it's almost like we've shaken up, you know, because there's a reference of things that I would have been open with before that had people maybe only identify me with that's being placed on the need to know, and the things that I should have really had as a boundary that I've hidden away, that's coming up to the front. So there's almost like a rearrangement of what people are going to see of you. And some of you guys may start to get a little bit more private with certain aspects of your life as well, which is quite interesting, but then open with, these are my needs, this is my feelings, and, you know, what you like to do, and the lighter-hearted interest. I feel like what I'm being shown, it's almost like we're doing like a trade for trade, like the parts of yourself that you had open. I don't know why people are almost projecting that that's it from you. Like, you could be somebody that like connects with spirit and very connected to the heart space, and you know how people project on that, oh, love and light, you know, oh, sweet, peaceful heart. that's not true with connecting to spirit. We do heavy work. So now it's like people are going to see those bolder aspects of you, and then it's like, you know, you're keeping certain things back. I hope that makes sense. So people knew you for, maybe you've gone through a lot, and people knew you as somebody that's been through a lot, and it's like, that's what I identify this person as, but you're way more than that. So sometimes like people are seeing those other sides to you. I hope that makes sense. But then in other aspects, I see you going quite private with, like, this is need to know. So we have the dragonfly spirit that dropped. The truth transcends illusion. And I'm going to get 2 more. Pile number 3. 2 cards just flipped at the top. And of course, we have the lion spirit, be generous of spirit. Of course, we have that. And then we have the deer spirit, bring a gentle touch. And the back of the deck, you have trust the great mystery at the back of the deck. I want to get everything in so you can see everything. That should be okay. Okay, truth transcends illusion. Yeah, I feel like as well you're almost jumping out of people's projections of you too. I feel like you've always had maybe a narrative in your mind of what other people have projected onto you, and you've kind of ran with it, or you've almost taken it on as your own, other people's projection or other people's perception, when they just didn't know those beautiful aspects of you, or they hadn't met those beautiful aspects of you. And I feel like you're taking that off now. Like, why am I gonna align myself with your opinion when you've only seen an inch of me? You've never seen the full thing. Like, you've seen one piece of the jigsaw. Why would I take your opinion of me? So I feel like you're letting go of other people's opinions and other people's projections. And maybe some of you guys are going through maybe a little bit of a shift or a transformation where you are letting go of what people have projected onto you and what other people have placed onto you, and feeling that rage or feeling that frustration, because there's a lot of focus on like that healthy anger and just letting it out, you know, feeling into that anger. A lot of people run from anger. They see it as negative. But when we're angry with something, you know, we feel anger when somebody oversteps the mark, when somebody is mean to us, when somebody, you know, projects onto us, when somebody hurts us. Like, we can feel that anger. It's a sign of like our own self-respect. Like, I don't agree with this, you shouldn't be treating me like that. And we're allowed to feel those feelings of anger. We're allowed to feel those feelings of frustration. That our friend, all of our emotions are our friend to align with and understand, so we can allow it to flow. And I see you letting go, you know, but also dealing with frustration and anger and letting that out, you know, and what people may have placed onto you. And especially with the lion spirit too, it's like I'm being confident in myself. I'm tapping into that, my own inner confidence. I'm tapping into my own worthiness, and I'm, you know, I'm doing this off my own accord. You know what I mean? I'm allowing this tail and these colors to come out in my own accord. Like, I'm blossoming and blooming because this is who I truly am. It's like I'm allowing people to really see me and all of those sides of myself, like the humorous side, the funny side. Maybe you guys are like really funny, but you never like would make jokes or say anything out loud in front of people, because it was like, what if they don't think I'm funny or they think I'm awkward? So it's like people are starting to see those versions of you, which is really, really beautiful. And again, with the bring a gentle touch, I feel like people could know you as somebody that's quite cold or quite closed off, and you're starting to show vulnerable sides and the more emotional side and the nurturing side, and you know, that slower side, and people are starting to meet that version of you. And I would also say, whoever falls away in this period, it's because now that version of you is coming out, you're tapping into a frequency. And it could be that you and whoever may be around you, if they are going to fall away, they're just on a completely different frequency. And what that's doing is making room for people. It's making room for the other peacocks, you know. That's what's happening. So just allow what falls to fall as well. So pile number 3, that is what I have for you guys. I really hope that you enjoyed your reading. Hit the thumbs up and comment down below if you did. I'm sending you guys all of my love. I hope you have a beautiful morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching. And hopefully I'll see you guys in my next video. So thank you guys for watching.